Hello, and welcome to Milwaukee United. I'm your host, Christopher Lee. Today, we will be shedding some light on some subjects and factors that are critical to the quality of life in Milwaukee neighborhoods. One of the subjects that we will discuss today is hunger, something that over 500,000 people within the state of Wisconsin alone suffer from every day. Later, we will sit down with different people and talk about the main cause of hunger and how we can do to confront it. How do we change hunger? How do we help each other? All of these questions and more will be brought to light today on Milwaukee United.
Every year, there are some families that have to spend Thanksgiving without a turkey, or spend Christmas with no dinner at all. Before the pandemic, national food insecurity levels were at a 20-year low, according to data compiled by Feeding America. Despite the milestone, 35 million people, including more than 10 million children, still lived in food insecure households. In 2019, over 500,000 Wisconsin residents were considered food insecure according to Feeding America. About over 100,000 of those people lived in Milwaukee County. Once the pandemic hit, Feeding America estimated that as many as close to 150,000 people could go hungry in Milwaukee in 2020. While the USDA did not release county-level data, it did look at how many people in Wisconsin had low food insecurity or very low food insecurity at any point in 2020. Now in the year 2022, with the rise of inflation, do we see anything different happening?
So Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin is celebrating their 40th anniversary this year. So we've been around for 40 years. Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin is the largest anti-hunger organization here in the state of Wisconsin. We're in 35 counties with over 400 partner agencies. We have a very large footprint here in the state. So the folks that we serve is different. They have a commonality is not having access to food. However, their situations, their environment, where they're located can be completely different. And so what we bring is the expertise in order to service them the best.
Hunger is real in Milwaukee. I'll tell you a story. I used to coordinate our breakfast program, and so I was on site working with our meal guests, working with our volunteers, making sure everybody had what they needed, making sure the program ran smoothly, and making sure our guests' needs were met. There were so many days where I would go into work and have guests come to the door a little bit early looking for food. And it was policy that we didn't serve until it was our serving time, but people are out on the street every day. People are without food every day. I had people come to the door and tell me they hadn't had a meal in 3 days.
I would say the city of Milwaukee is being really impacted by hunger and inflation as well, because more people are having to think about, oh, if the price of meat is going up, what does that mean in terms of my diet, or how am I gonna get that for my whole family?
Hunger affects people in many ways, but just think, if you're hungry, you really can't think about anything else. You're hungry. Unless that need is taken care of, you can't maintain a job. You really can't take care of your children well. Children in school are not able to focus as well and learn as well because they're hungry.
I know there are kids who are in school in the city, who go to school, and that's literally all they can think about is if they will find a granola bar on the floor or something.
Well, I'm I'm an African-American Black woman, and if you look at the different health disparities within my community, hypertension, diabetes, so we have an issue around hunger. We also have an issue with access to healthy food. And, you know, that is a huge, huge issue and thing we're addressing here at the food bank to make sure not only are we giving individuals good food, fresh food, not expired food, you know, something that you and I would want to eat, right? But also, is it low in sodium? Is it, you know, low in fat? Is it healthy? Because we know that that health disparity within communities of color is, the end result is death.
Now, where does this leave us? Where can we see this lead to? But first, let's see where it all begins, right in the Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin Distribution Center, to learn what truly takes place in the warehouse.
So we're kind of where it all begins. So as you can see behind you, there's 9 dock doors. This is where the product comes in every day. We send 6 trucks out to different grocery stores, manufacturers, warehouses, and they bring it back in at the end of each day. It comes in, it gets loaded on this scale right here. And after it's loaded, it gets stored on the loading dock. And then 2 things will happen. Either it's, whether it's from a manufacturer, it may be full pallets of cereal, pasta, granola bars, whatever it may be. That product can get written up under a product ID number and put directly into our racks, which we'll go through later, where it goes online and it's available to our members. And then our variety pallets that are brought in from typically grocery stores where there's lots of different things on a pallet, those get brought over to our volunteer area where they will be sorted into different categories and boxed up so they're ready to go also into the racks available for our members to order online. So now we are in our volunteer area. So this is where our groups come in, and these groups can be from organizations, companies, schools, etc. Anywhere from 10 to 30 individuals, sometimes more, will come in and they'll actually pack the product that comes in from those grocery stores and manufacturers that we pick up daily. So these items can range from, over here in particular, it's gonna be unassorted dry product that we then sort into categories. So then it can be boxed up, put on pallets, and then wrapped and put directly into our racking area, which will go next. And it's made available for our pantries and meal programs to order from online.
Okay, after seeing what the volunteers do and how everything is kind of packaged in, what are we looking at right now with these big pallets of tags and wrapped cases?
Yeah, so basically this is all of our storage racks. So what you're gonna find here is what the volunteers have either worked. So for example, right here, we've got a pallet of green beans. These came in from Del Monte. They were actually cans of Brights, which means they didn't have a label on them. So we labeled them ourselves. We put them in these Amazon boxes and wrapped it up, put it under green beans, and then it'll go online and it's available to our members to order right away. And then we have other products that are actually directly from the manufacturer that come in full pallets, like is, we don't even have to touch it. For example, right here, we've got cereal from Quaker, and we got a whole truckload of this item, and it's already in cases, ready to go. So all we have to do is write up an item number, and that'll then go online, available for our members to order right away as well. So next, we're gonna go actually to our pick room, which will then show where the product is brought to, where it's actually picked, put onto pallets, and sent out the door. We are in our fulfillment room. So this is where the product comes after it's been put online. So it's been in the racks, it goes available to our members. They can go online, order it from our online inventory system, and it's available for them 3 days later. And basically in that 3-day processing, it gets the product that gets ordered, gets brought into this room, stored in these pick racks, and we have 5 order pickers that come through, and they put it onto pallets and get it ready to go out. They wrap it so it's ready to go for our member sites on their pickup day. They have time windows they can pick up from, and there's actually 2 ways. They can either pick it up directly from our facility, or we do door-to-door delivery. So right here, we've got our pickup door, and they come in between 8 and 12 o'clock every day, 8 and noon, and they have a 15-minute time slot window. And when they come in, they just say their agency number and their pantry name, and they are able to get their order brought out to them, loaded onto their vehicle or into their van or whatever they need to do, and brought back to their food pantry. If they don't have the vehicle capacity to pick up their order, or they're outside of Milwaukee County and they're a little further away, we also provide delivery. So we call it door-to-door delivery. It's an option when they're placing their order online, they can select delivery. And that way we will actually load it onto one of our trucks and deliver it out to their site the morning that they select. They're given a 2-hour window that then we deliver to right to their doorstep.
So just the fear of perpetuating what was happening in the community already, of the spread of COVID, would be the negative or the fear fact of that. But we took all the precautions necessary. Of course, having masks and other PPE to protect ourselves and protect the clients that we're serving. We changed up, our model on, and we, I mean our partners, changed up how they serviced individuals. So versus maybe being in the basement of a church, now it was in the parking lot outside with 6 feet, social distancing, right? And so it was a lot of changes that had to be made on the distribution of food that others may look at was negatively, especially right now with the weather and the cold, but was also seen as a positive, because otherwise we would have to stop serving those number of zip codes of that community.
COVID has absolutely affected the way that the gathering serves our community. Before COVID hit, about 2 years ago now, the gathering was serving meals inside, and we were welcoming all individuals with no regard to race, sexual orientation, with no discrimination on who you are. We were welcoming everybody into our door and inviting them in as if it was our home, inviting them in for breakfast or for lunch or for dinner. When COVID hit, that obviously was not the way that we were able to continue. And so now we are only allowing about 5 to 7 volunteers in the space at a time. Prior to COVID, we were using about 15 volunteers on any given morning at breakfast. Now with COVID, we're serving everything to go. So no guests come inside, they all are served at the door. This has been really hard on our staff and our volunteers and our guests. Our guests look forward to that community that they were able to get when they come in to eat with us. And COVID has put a lot of strain on that, but we have seen returning guests and our numbers have only continued to increase.
But we're here to serve the River West and Harambe neighborhoods in whatever way we can, and especially bridging that gap of isolation and loneliness that poverty can have.
One might say that one of the causes of food insecurity is poverty. And yes, poverty is a contributing factor. So therefore, how do we tackle the poverty issue?
The one thing with healthy food we know is it's more expensive. If you've gone into a grocery store lately, because of the climate, the inflation or the pandemic, the impact of it, it's caused a rise in the cost of different meats and dairy and things of that nature. And so oftentimes communities of color, or just low-income communities, period, are unable to afford, food, let alone healthy food.
When it comes to the job market, communities of color historically have been impacted more so in terms of, being laid off or let go. Communities of color seem to be impacted more so. The higher paying jobs, we are still fighting that battle of equal opportunities so that all communities have equal access to those higher paying jobs. But food insecurity, yes, impacts communities of color in a disproportionately way.
I think there could be a lot of changes that are made in the city as well as the country in terms of addressing hunger more holistically.
If every person takes one small step, toward fighting this food insecurity and homelessness that our neighbors are facing. If just every person just did one thing, we would be that much closer to solving hunger in Milwaukee and in our country. So I encourage people to get involved, whether that's to volunteer or to donate, but do your research and get involved and make a change yourself.
UMOS takes pride in meeting the needs of those who we serve. The needs are great. The needs come in a variety of ways. For example, the food pantry. There still are many families, individual families in Milwaukee who are in need of assistance, food assistance, in a sense to make ends meet for their families.
Time, talent, treasure. It's an old saying, it's a little cliche maybe even, but it's so true as it relates to Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin. Time, we're unable to do anything we do without our volunteers. We wouldn't be able to do it.
You can come help by volunteering at our farm, at our food center here.
I would advise anybody interested in helping relieve hunger in our city to get involved with a local organization. And of course, I encourage anybody to get involved with the gathering. That would look like volunteering at one of our meal sites Monday through Saturday. Our operations depend on volunteers since we have such a small staff. Without volunteers, we can't open our doors.
The awareness is always there, and that we can count on the generosity of both corporate and individual citizens to recognize that need and step up to the plate to do their fair share in whatever shape or form that takes to help provide for those in need within our own neighborhoods. If you are in need of food, put your pride aside and come to UMOS. No one will ever be turned away.
You are not alone, and that we're here for you, regardless of if you're in the River West or Harambe neighborhood. Like, you can stop by just to be with somebody.
For anybody listening that is in need of food, we're here, we see you, and we welcome you to our door. We welcome you to one of our 4 locations.
We're all in this together. That it's not one specific individual or organization that's going to be able to solve hunger, and that I thank them in advance for even considering and committing any time to this issue.
The issues of food insecurity, for example, takes place every day. And there are families and children who are hungry. And what can each of us do to help in that way? The question that I would pose to anyone listening or watching is, what are you doing to help your neighbor?
As tough as everything looks, there is always a hand to hold to get through these tough times, no matter who you are or where you came from. As a city, we must care for each other and love one another, for we are the people, united.
After seeing what goes on in food banks, pantries, warehouses, and churches on a day-to-day basis, it makes you want to know more. So today, we have Maureen Fitzgerald and Samuel Mejia Townsend. How are you two doing today?
Good, thank you.
Pretty good so far.
Excellent, thank you all for coming on. Just get us started for Samuel. What is it that you do at MATC?
I am a student here for the culinary program, and also I am looking to get a degree and have my own restaurant as a sous chef.
And you work for Feeding America as well?
Yes, that's correct. I'm the Vice President of Government Relations for Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin.
How would you describe your daily tasks as far as aiding hunger?
So Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin is the largest food bank in the state. If you look at Wisconsin, we cover 35 counties in the eastern half of the state. So if like you fold the state in half, we're all the way up on the eastern part of the state. So the day-to-day that we do is really providing emergency food to about 400 partners of pantries, meal programs, homeless shelters, all throughout southeastern and northeastern Wisconsin.
Excellent. What do you think the root of cause of any kind of food insecurity might be? Is there any kind of like indicating factors that might be what starts everything?
For sure. I mean, you can't talk about hunger without talking about poverty, right? And I think that hunger looks different in different areas. So I think rural hunger is going to look a little different than urban hunger in the city of Milwaukee, for instance. But we really look at how can we really address those root causes, because we can't solve hunger without really talking about inequities and making sure that people have access to good food and quality food, and also thinking about where are those pantries, how do they work, why are people hungry in our community, and how can we, as the largest anti-hunger organization in the state, really work to address those issues.
And for Samuel, what do you think that can be done more in the community, possibly to end any kind of hunger?
Well, honestly, like expanding more new territories that have like no like any places to go, like churches or anything. Like if churches don't have any food banks or anything, maybe start over there than other places that where you could get a lot of food at. Because at my church we have a lot of food pantry coming in. I've experienced this before at my church, at Cross Lutheran Church. We get a lot of foods and everything. We give them, and we expand it over at other churches and everything. So whatever we get out of the truck, half of that goes to another church.
And if there was somebody that was interested in your line of work, how would somebody get involved?
That's a great question. So I think that we run on volunteers, right? We always need people. We particularly need great, smart people like the folks that are watching today to come in and help. And that can be as simple as coming in and sorting food, or if you're interested in addressing those root causes that you were just talking about, that's something that we look at policy, we look at advocacy. We really will take volunteers in any area that we can get them.
And especially when it comes to home-cooked meals and everything at our church, we always had home-cooked meals for our people that come in the church, and then we ship them off with a box of pantry food.
That's awesome to hear. And just for someone who might be working at Feeding America, what might be the benefits of working there, and this sense of well-being must be a sense of a positive impact they might make or they might feel when they work there?
Yeah, I think, my favorite thing about working there is just seeing the generosity of our community, of seeing how many people want to help and how we can all work together to help.
The bigger the people, the bigger the help.
And for Samuel, how does hunger affect people in your community, in your opinion? Do you think it's an overall impact?
It's a big impact. At least in my neighborhood, a lot of people are like on the streets and everything because, well, with this pandemic, there's not many food places to go, like pantries and everything, because they're closed and everything. But our church is still open for those kinds of things. So, but we don't do the home cooked meals anymore. But we still give out the box of pantry food for them and plastic bags.
Are there any kind of future plans that Feeding America may implement in the near future by chance? Or do you think there's anything that will be added in the near future?
Sure, there are a lot of really interesting things that we're working on right now that I think would be of interest to folks that are watching today. And one thing we're working on is called the Food Leaders Lab. And that is a opportunity for people to tell us what they see as the needs are in the community. We often, I think, as nonprofits come in and say, okay, this is what we're doing. And what the Food Leaders Lab is going to really take lived experience, lived expertise in our community. We're going to offer paid opportunities to come in and talk to us about how we can work together to solve hunger. So I think that's a really exciting thing that we're doing. We're also working on a baby box program for the city of Milwaukee to address nutrition for Black and brown moms, where we were seeing really infant mortality across our community and thinking about how can we address and really make a difference for folks in our community that are struggling. So we're really looking at providing baby boxes to pregnant moms, then to new babies, and then throughout the first year of life to really get them started on the right foot.
Yeah, I can relate that as well. At our church, we had diapers for them and one of those pre-made milks and everything for them. And we also have other stuff like deodorant. People don't have enough money to afford, like soap or shampoo. We also supply that in the pantry boxes as well.
And finally, what does Feeding America use their funding to? Do you think the more funding, the better? Is there enough funding?
Well, I think what we've seen in the pandemic is just that the need is so great. There are people coming to food pantries that have never needed help before. We often hear people will say to us, I used to volunteer here and now I'm coming for food. And so one thing that Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin can do really well is take like $1 that's donated and really stretch it as far as we can, right? We have food buying power. We have partners all across the country where we can take that dollar and really make it go far. So it's an enormous problem for our state, but there's no reason that anybody's hungry in the state of Wisconsin. I think this is something that we can all address together.
Excellent. That's wonderful to hear. Living in hand. All right, well, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have today. Thank you both so much for coming in and speaking to us about a very important topic within the city. Hunger is more of a critical issue than you might think. Not only strangers that suffer from the hunger of everyday struggles, it could be your close neighbors as well. The question is, what will you do to help? I hope you listened and understood today's message. I'd like to thank the viewers at home for tuning in to Milwaukee United. Stay safe, Milwaukee. Stay united. I'm your host, Christopher Lee, signing off.